Good afternoon to all of you. My name is Anasmoinuddin and I'm a student of Hyper Batch A. So today I'm here in front of you to give a presentation on the topic Introduction to Nervous System Disorder. So we will study the introduction of nervous system disorder in two ways. The first is a neurological disorder and the second one is psychotic disorder. So in neurological disorder we will study the diseases like epilepsy, Parkinson's disease and strokes, and in psychotic disorder we will study Alzheimer's, depression and schizophrenia. Let's begin with neurological disorder. So the first neurological disorder we will study is epilepsy. So epilepsy is basically a central nervous system disorder or neurological disorder in which the brain's activity becomes abnormal due to uncontrolled discharge of neurons, causing seizures and loss of awareness in brain. The epilepsy affect a person in two ways. The first one is the partial epilepsy and the second one is generalized epilepsy. The partial epilepsy basically when affect only a particular area of brain, and generalized epilepsy affect throughout the brain. If a person gets epilepsy, he or she may feel symptoms like temporary confusion, uncontrolled jerk movement of arms and legs, anxiety, fear, loss of awareness, loss of consciousness, etc. So the second neurological disorder we will talk about is Parkinson's disease. So Parkinson's disease is a neurological disorder which leads to progressive deterioration of motor function due to loss of dopamine producing hormone in a specific area of brain called substantia nigra. The characteristics of Parkinson's disease is progressive loss of muscle control, which leads to trembling in limbs and head while at rest, stiffness, slowness, postural imbalancing, etc. etc. And when a Parkinson's disease affect a person on two bases, on the basis of etiology and on the basis of age. On the basis of etiology, it affect a person on two subunits. It is primary Parkinson's disease and secondary Parkinson's disease. Primary Parkinson's disease means if Parkinson's disease affect a person after the age of 40 years, it is known as primary Parkinson's disease, and it is more prevalent in males. While on talking on the basis of age, it also affect on two subunit basis. The first one is early onset of Parkinson's disease and late onset of Parkinson's disease. Early onset means if the Parkinson's disease affect a person between the age of 21 to 40 years of age, we call it early onset of Parkinson's disease. There is one more condition in early onset of Parkinson's disease, that is juvenile Parkinson's disease. So when the Parkinson's disease affect children and teens before the age of 20, it is called a juvenile Parkinson's disease. And the late Parkinson's disease means it affect a person after the age of 40 years. When someone gets a Parkinson's disease, he or she may feel symptoms like muscle rigidity, sexual dysfunction, slow movement, postural imbalancing, and some psychotic disorder like depression, schizophrenia, and a respiratory dysfunction, etc. So the third neurological disorder we will discuss is strokes. So strokes is a neurological disorder in which there is a damage to the brain due to interruption of blood supply, preventing the brain tissues to get oxygen and nutrients, and the brain cell begin to die in a minutes. So if a person gets strokes, the symptoms he gets or she gets is troubling in speaking, walking, like general routine task he is not able to perform it, and headache, there will be chronic headache accompanied by vomiting. So we are moving to our second phase, that is psychiatric disorder. The first psychiatric disorder we will discuss is Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease is also a loss of memory. It is a slow progressive disease that destroys memory and other mental functions. Uh, it is also called as senile dementia. Since it is a psychiatric disorder, there is no lab test required. Alzheimer's disease is a chronic disease that may last for years or for lifelong. Alzheimer's disease affects a person in three stages. Stage 1. It is a mild type of Alzheimer's disease where it lasts for 2 to 4 years. When we get stage 1 Alzheimer's disease, we get symptoms like minor memory loss, mood swing, difficulty in speaking, or maybe call it daily routine perform. In stage 2, that is moderate type of Alzheimer's disease, it may last for 4 to 10 years. We get symptoms like difficulty in reading, writing, maybe daily performing tasks, and forgetting recent event is one of the most important symptom, and recent and own personal history. So in stage 3, that is a severe type of Alzheimer's disease where one of its feature is to that we cannot able to recognize people, and where we cannot control the brain functioning. uh, Now we will move to the cause of Alzheimer's disease. So Alzheimer's disease basically can be because of due to loss of some neurochemical agents like norepinephrine, somatostatin, and acetylcholine, etc. It may be because it one of the most common cause of Alzheimer's disease is that it may be genetic, and it may be because of unusual diet, obesity, etc. And one of the and it is and maybe it is maybe because of if some individual is suffering from Down syndrome. So the second psychiatric disorder we will discuss is schizophrenia. So schizophrenia is a psychiatric disorder in which a person's ability to feel, think, observe, and behavior is lost. It is a severe psychiatric disorder in which a person loses contact with reality is known as schizophrenia. The mental disorder, it is a mental disorder that results from many combined conditions such as loss of extreme imaginary thinking, loss of behavior, and hallucination and delusion are its common symptoms. How does the schizophrenia affect a person? Schizophrenia affect a person in many ways, like schizoaffective disorder. It is a combined condition of schizophrenia and mood disorder. Disorganized schizophrenia is a disorganized thinking, and disorganized behavior is known as disorganized schizophrenia. And there is one more schizophrenia, we call it childhood or early onset of schizophrenia. The schizophrenia that begins before the age of 18 is known as childhood or early onset of schizophrenia. There's the paranoid schizophrenia. This is the most common schizophrenia, which actually is called as severe schizophrenia, because in this schizophrenia the person feels the delusion and hallucination symptoms. The catatonic schizophrenia is divided into two more parts: catatonic stupor and catatonic excitement. So in catatonic stupor, the patient decreased behavior is observed, whereas in catatonic excitement the patient is overreacted over short things, like short tempered. He becomes actually short tempered over small things. The absolute cause of schizophrenia is not known today. We the actually the sum of the common cause we discuss is some environmental factor responsible for it, or some genetic factor responsible for it, or irregular brain structure responsible for it, but the absolute cause is not known of this disease. So the third psychiatric disorder we will discuss is depression. 5 out of 1 person is absolutely depression or go through this disease. We also have faced depression once or twice or many times in our life. We call it short form of depression, and one of them is long form of depression. So first we will define depression. So depression is a mental disorder characterized by loss of activity of or interest in activity or depressed mood causing significant impairment in daily life. The depression is of many types. One of them is clinical depression or persistent depression, postnatal depression, bipolar disorder, bipolar second disorder. So persistent depression, a mild but long form of depression, is known as persistent depression. There is postnatal depression, that the depression that occur after childbirth is known as postnatal depression. Bipolar disorder is associated with mood swings episodes, and bipolar second disorder is a severe type of bipolar disorder. So that's all from me. Thank you very much.